Now, also tonight, twice failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is letting us know that she's not going anywhere. And she isn't getting out of the game of politics anytime soon. Take a look.
I believe you said it's up to us to make sure the plot stays fictional. After writing this, any interest at all in getting back into the game of politics?
I will never be out of the game of politics. I'm not going to be running for anything, but I really feel, Amy, and I know George was interviewing Adam Schiff before, I really feel like our democracy is at stake.
Well, there you go. But unfortunately for Hillary, Americans are moving on and see her as just another political punchline, as she refuses to take responsibility for her failures and blames everyone else, all while she aimlessly searches for relevance and maybe a Chardonnay in the forest and a reason to be in the spotlight. So here now for reaction, Fox News contributor Leo Terrell, who will have absolutely no opinion about any of this, along with former acting director of National Intelligence, Rick Grenell. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Well, let's start with Matt's report out of California. Rick, I moved to New York from California, going right from the pan into the fire. And California, we love California. It's a great state. But we're looking at, the toy aisle as an example. We've been talking about distractions to some degree tonight, that the Democrats continue to want to distract people. California is on fire. It's a dumpster fire. And he wants to talk about what you can have in a toy aisle. What's that all about?
Well, I thought it was very troubling to see that if this is such a serious problem, why is it that only businesses that are more than 500 people impacted? If this is a real serious problem, shouldn't everybody be included in this toy aisle? Look, I have a big problem, like everybody in California, that our governor is trying to dictate marketing campaigns to stores. Why is he involved here? Why is the Sacramento media allowing him to get involved in these issues? We've got water problems. We've got energy problems. We don't have a LNG terminal on the West Coast at all. We're not participating in the explosion of liquid natural gas because our governor is literally worried about toy aisles. You can't make this stuff up. And yet this is happening. I just want to say it's shameful that the media in Sacramento are allowing him to get away with this.
Well, that's a very good point. And it's to your point about why is it just the larger box stores, it also doesn't apply to clothing. So I'm not sure. It's like if you're worried about a kid's impression about what they can and cannot wear. When I was growing up, Leo, I was like the marble champion at school. I was wearing pants. I was not going to wear a dress. I didn't like Barbies. I had remember the Hot Wheels track? Yeah, that was my thing. And it was like, I like being a girl. I like being a girl right now. But Leo, it really comes down into training people to believe that the government knows better than you, that you as a parent or as an influencer with young children are useless and bad, and that it's the government who has to tell you what to do about that. What is your take on that?
Well, you just summed it up, Tammy, and Rick is absolutely correct. There should be a lawsuit on this whole toy story because it gives a preferential treatment for one set of stores and not the other. It's unfair. And it also implies that the parents don't know what's best for the kid. It basically insults the parent. The government knows better than the parents in the decision making. It's insulting. But this is a guy who just fought back a recall, so he's basically on a war path. And he's going to try to more and more government control, which means less and less freedom for people in California. It's terrible here in California.
And only
Tammy.
the Democrats.
You were smart to leave.
The Democrats would start a war using Barbie. That would be typical for them, right? At the same time, there's another law, and I have to admit, there is a long time ago we had these fights about the leaf blowers in California. The sound was just everywhere. The sound here in New York, Giuliani got rid of some of the sound. That's all back because it ruins the quality of life. But here, once again, you've got a dynamic where he's talking about lawnmowers, but in San Francisco, you're walking over human feces, needles, people sleeping on the street. It's the crime. I'm surprised, you can go into any toy aisle and find toys in an aisle or any products because of the shoplifting that is allowed. Is there a reason why he's going after the lawnmowers, Rick? Is there any reason why this kind of an issue is a factor, or is it just another distraction?
They're allowed in Sacramento, politicians are allowed to sit around and think of crazy ideas of how to be more progressive. So how do we help the environment even more? And they're getting away with it. And that's the whole troubling part. You know, we've got a lot of parents who are really upset about the schools.
Yep.
And we've got, you know, people who are upset about the high gas prices. We're conserving water like you can't believe. We're told to have brown grass. It's out of control. He's not paying attention to any of the real issues.
You know, and Leo, I have to say, as we close this out, we're looking at, if they really cared about kids, they would have opened those public schools, right? Instead of just letting the private schools operate, keeping kids out of schools, you know, mask mandates in that regard. And we're supposed to believe that they're the compassionate one because they're going to dictate, you know, what your child is going to look at. And Rick, we'd been speaking, thinking, are you going to put like trucks right next to the Barbies and think our kids are going to be confused? Leo, is there any way out of this other than getting rid of Gavin Newsom?
No, we need to do Fix California Now, which is Rick's organization. And the problem is this: when you talk about the kids, that's dear to my heart, because I'll tell you right now, education is the key to break the poverty cycle.
Yeah.
This state is union run. We don't have any school choice. We don't have a situation here where we can basically take over the state as long as these Democrats are in charge. We need to have a two-party state in California. Right now, it is deep, deep blue, Tammy.
Well, you know, I think that what Californians need, and both of you are a very good example of this, is some good rhetoric and representation that reminds people about that it can be different and that there is a future, because all of this is radicalizing parents, I think, in general. Certainly the school board stuff is, but when they're telling you about what toothbrush you can buy for your kid, that, of course, steps over a line. Gentlemen, thank you. More of
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.